She gave him compassion in his final days. He gave her a future. His family called it theft. This is the story of Sarah Miller, a woman whose life was defined by one simple choice: to care. From a young age, watching her own grandmother navigate a difficult illness, Sarah knew her calling wasn't in curing, but in comforting. She became a hospice nurse, an anchor in the storm for those facing their final voyage. She wasn't just administering medication, she was a keeper of stories, a holder of hands, a final friend. Take Mr. Peterson, a retired history teacher whose mind, once a fortress of dates and facts, was slowly surrendering to dementia. Sarah spent hours with him, not talking about the present he could no longer grasp, but reading his favorite history books aloud, transporting him back to the battlefields of Normandy and the courts of ancient Rome. When he finally passed, it was peacefully, with the sound of a familiar story in his ears. Then there was Elena, a vibrant artist whose body was ravaged by cancer. Her family lived across the country, their visits infrequent. Sarah didn't just manage Elena's pain. She brought her canvases and paints, helping her weak hands hold a brush. Together, they created one last masterpiece, a swirl of defiant color that screamed life even in the face of death. For Sarah, this was the job. It was her purpose. Then came Joey. Joseph Sterling, known to everyone as Joey, arrived at the hospice with a terminal diagnosis and a profound loneliness that seemed heavier than his illness. His vast fortune, built from a tech empire, had bought him everything but companionship. His family was a distant echo, their calls brief and their visits non-existent. They saw him as a bank account, not a person. Sarah saw the person. She saw the mischievous glint in his eyes when he'd recount tales of his youth, the way he'd light up talking about old black and white movies, his secret love for cheap convenience store slushies. Their friendship wasn't born of duty, but of genuine connection. They'd spend afternoons watching Casablanca, Sarah smuggling in those bright blue slushies he loved, their laughter echoing in a place so often filled with silence. He wasn't her patient, he was her friend. She learned about his first love, his biggest regret, and his dream of seeing the northern lights. He wasn't just a number on a chart. He was Joey, the man who taught her how to play chess and cheated outrageously, the man who listened to her own worries about her small apartment and student loan debt. He became family in a way his own blood relatives never had. One quiet evening, as the rain pattered against the window, Joey's breathing became shallow. Sarah sat by his bed, just as she had for countless nights. He was weak, but his eyes were clear. He squeezed her hand. "You saw me, Sarah," he whispered, his voice a faint rasp. "When no one else did, you saw me." She held his hand, tears streaming down her face, telling him it was okay to rest. And as the sun began to rise, painting the sky in soft hues of pink and orange, Joey passed away. Sarah held his hand until it grew cold, a silent promise kept. The days that followed were a blur of grief. Then came the phone call from a lawyer, a Mr. Harrison, executor of Joseph Sterling's estate. Sarah was asked to attend the reading of the will. Confused, she went, expecting a small token of remembrance, maybe a book or a keepsake. She sat in a sterile, mahogany-lined office, surrounded by Joey's estranged family. His son, daughter, and cousins looked at her with cold indifference, their designer clothes a stark contrast to her simple nurse's uniform. Mr. Harrison cleared his throat and began to read. He went through a few minor bequests to distant charities, and then came the bombshell. "To my children, who valued my wealth more than my presence, I leave $1 each, so they cannot claim to have been forgotten. The remainder of my estate, including all properties, stocks, and liquid assets, I bequeath in its entirety to Sarah Miller." Silence. Then, chaos. Joey's son, Robert, shot to his feet, his face purple with rage. "This is a joke. She manipulated him. An old, sick man. She's a predator, a gold digger in scrubs." The accusations flew like daggers. Theft, undue influence, elder abuse. Within a week, Sarah was served with a lawsuit. The family had hired a top-tier law firm, painting her as a conniving opportunist who had preyed on a vulnerable old man. The media caught the story, and her picture was everywhere. "Nurse inherits billions," the headline screamed. Her colleagues at the hospice looked at her with suspicion. Friends grew distant. The compassion she had given so freely was now being questioned, twisted into something ugly and criminal. Sarah was devastated. This wasn't about the money. It was about her honor, her friendship with Joey, the very core of who she was. She hired a lawyer, a public defender who believed her but warned of the uphill battle. The Sterling family had unlimited resources to drag her name through the mud. The legal battle was brutal. They subpoenaed her financial records, her emails, her text messages. They deposed her colleagues, trying to find any hint of misconduct. Sarah's life was laid bare, dissected by hostile lawyers who twisted her every act of kindness into a calculated move for financial gain. The slushies? A tactic to win affection. The movie nights? A strategy to isolate him from his family. Through it all, Sarah held on to Joey's last words. "You saw me." She had to believe the court would see her, too. Months later, the trial began. The courtroom was packed. Joey's family sat on one side, a united front of expensive suits and simmering resentment. Sarah sat on the other, alone. The family's lawyer, a notoriously ruthless attorney named Marcus Thorne, spent days trying to dismantle her character. He was slick, and he was good. He made her compassion sound like a crime. Finally, on what was supposed to be the last day of arguments, Thorne stood before the judge. "Your Honor," he announced with a dramatic pause, "we have discovered new evidence. Evidence that will prove, beyond any doubt, Ms. Miller's manipulative intent." He projected an email onto the large screen in the courtroom. The sender was Sarah Miller. The recipient was her sister. The date was 3 weeks before Joey passed away. Sarah squinted at the screen, her heart pounding. She had never seen this email before in her life. The text was chilling. It read, "It's almost over. The old man is fading fast. Just a little longer, and the plan will work. The fortune will be ours. He has no idea." A collective gasp filled the courtroom. The jury stared at her, their faces a mixture of shock and disgust. Sarah's lawyer leaped to his feet, objecting, but the damage was done. All eyes were on Sarah. Her world tilted, the room spinning. It was a lie, a complete fabrication. But there it was, on the screen, for everyone to see. Her name, her supposed words, her ultimate betrayal. Thank you for watching. What do you think will happen next? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more content.